Hey, what's up, guys? We're looking at Valkyrie Elysium today. We're gonna start with the story. I mean, this is the demo version, so let me give you a disclaimer on that. But so far, I mean, it's pretty trite. You know, it's just kind of a little bit cashing in on the Ragnarok craze. Anyone who plays games knows that's pretty much the most popular story these days. You got God of War Ragnarok coming out. You got Assassin's Creed Valhalla that just had the Ragnarok expansion. So, I mean, it is a little bit a game that it seems like SquareEnix. I was a little suspicious. It seems like maybe, you know, they're just trying to cash in on how much everybody loves Ragnarok these days. And, you know, Valkyries are always part of Ragnarok and what leads up to it. So, I had low expectations going in. As far as the story goes, again, this is a demo version. Super possible that it'll be a little more fleshed out in the full version. But it is a fairly long cutscene, so I don't know how much more they'll add in the intro, at least. You get very, very little exposure to it after the cutscene when you play the demo. But as far as the story goes, low expectations, kind of delivered. I mean, it's just, you know, Odin and Fenrir fought, Ragnarok was already started, people were dying, gods were dying. Odin and Fenrir almost kill each other, and in a last-ditch effort to prevent Ragnarok, Odin creates the Valkyries. That's pretty much sums up this cutscene you're seeing right now. As soon as it finishes telling you that, it just goes into the tutorial, and you spawn in as the Valkyrie, and that's pretty much all you get out of the story for this. The good thing is, the story doesn't have to be super good. I mean, there is a reason Ragnarok is so popular. People love the story of Ragnarok. Probably partially because of the inevitability of it, so it kind of feels like you're the underdog fighting against the inevitable. But the combat, which we'll go into next, was fun enough where I really didn't care that the story wasn't super fleshed out. Like I said, it would still be nice if they made it a little bit better in the full retail version, which is totally possible. But the demo version so far, I'd give the story probably a 5 out of 10 just because it's Ragnarok. I mean, if it were about anything but Ragnarok with this level of effort into it, I'd probably give it a 2 or a 3. So let's go into the combat next. As far as combat goes in this game, I had a total blast with it. It's fast-paced. None of the enemies feel like, you know, just kind of bullet sponges or sword sponges, I guess, in this case. The premise is simple, but it takes a little bit of skill to execute. Basically, in the tutorial, you weirdly have more options than you do when you try out the first mission and all that. You start out with, I never know how to say this, but Einirhar, which is essentially warrior souls that you can summon. So we'll just call them summons going forward, so I don't have to embarrass myself like that twice. So you'll get, in the tutorial, at the very start, you'll start with 2. They have different elements. You'll have a guy who kind of charges them with a spear. He's thunder-based. You'll have an archer. She's ice-based. And they'll kind of charge, come out, do a flashy move when you summon them. And then after that, you know, they fight alongside you. So it's very helpful against bigger groups of enemies to have them. It takes a little bit of the heat off you, so you're not just getting attacked from 5 angles. Weirdly, after the tutorial mission, and even after beating the first boss in the tutorial where I thought I was going to unlock one of them again, you don't have them for the rest of the way. So if you do try out the demo, the tutorial part is really your best bet for the full kit, getting a feel for it, how you feel about the game. That's not to say the mission and all that wasn't fun. It was a lot of fun. You also have, they call them divine arts, just essentially spells. You get elements of those too. I think in the demo you start out with just lightning. On your actual mission, on the tutorial, I think it gave you lightning and ice. By the end of the first tutorial mission, you'll have, if you find the chests that contain the spells, you'll have lightning, ice, earth, fire, dark, I think. So elemental types are a huge part of this game to make fights manageable. Every enemy, when you lock onto them, will have a very obvious, in between their health bar and their stun bar, picture of the element they're weak to. If you hit them with the corresponding spell once for weaker enemies, a lot of times it'll stun them, kind of lock them down, and they won't really be able to fight back at all anymore. So it's great for crowd control or just going in for the kill on someone that can't fight back. Every enemy when you lock on the left side, there's kind of a blue bar. That's their elemental stun bar, basically. You fill that up, they're going to be CC'd for it's a very long time, actually. It's probably about 10 seconds, maybe almost 15, 20, for regular enemies. Bosses have the same mechanic with the stun. Takes longer to build it up on them, obviously. You can also, on a boss, time it for when their stun bar is about to run out and they're about to be free again. You can hit them with that same element once more and it'll lock them down longer. Then once that runs out, the boss is immune to elemental stuns for a good amount of time. On the right side of every normal enemy's lock on, to the right you'll see their health bar. Obviously, you close that out, drain that all the way out, they're dead. Enemies drop gems. You need these a lot to level up your Valkyrie. Their talent trees require gems. Some enemies, usually stronger enemies, will drop yellow souls. You need these no matter how many gems you have. If you don't have enough yellow souls, you can't learn a new move or a new talent. Same system for upgrading your weapons. Speaking of weapons, there's also, similar to the elemental effect, you can't get a stun out of them, but enemies do have weapon weaknesses too. In the demo, you start out with kind of a broadsword. You end up unlocking more of a, call it like a rapier. Some of the enemies that were more annoying when you only had the broadsword become a little bit easier when you have the rapier, because they're weak to it. You can upgrade your weapons too, like I said. It'll unlock new abilities for you, make the weapon a lot stronger. Each level is a big deal based on the demo. I'm talking like 100 to 200 physical damage, and basically doubled my stats the couple times I was able to level up on the weapon. As you fight with each weapon, you'll get proficiency in it. I believe that just increases your stats. I was only able to raise the broadsword once in 2 hours of playing, and it just made me a little bit stronger with it. I'm not sure if, in the full retail version that does more, or you get it higher up, you start learning new moves and all that. Yeah, the first mission, you kind of start fighting a little bit bigger groups of enemies, but like I said, at the same time you lose your summons, so it feels strange to start out the tutorial having that extra ability and you never get it back in the demo version, especially once the groups start getting bigger. You really feel the loss of that a little bit more. Still very manageable. Anyone used to kind of action RPGs won't have a super hard time with the game, on normal at least, which is what I tested it at. I mean, the combat is very fun. The 2 hours flew by for me. It's very fluid. The new moves I unlocked were awesome for closing the distance. Initially, all you can really do to close the distance on people is hold down L2. You get it's called a soul chain. They kind of introduce that to you by having you fling yourself to an archer, but it's very easy to get hit on the way to the enemy you're soul chaining to if there's more, and it doesn't quite lock them down. It'll stop them from running around, but they could still attack you as you come. So one of my favorite moves I unlocked through the talent tree, you just hold your left thumbstick towards the enemy you want to go to and hit square, and your Valkyrie will do a cool dash to the enemy while automatically blocking anything that hits you on the way. So the moves that you do learn feel very impactful. There's standard ground combat. It's kind of like a Fire Emblem game almost. You hit square once in triangle, you do a kick up into the air. You hit square twice in a triangle, you do kind of a broad sweep that does good damage, good for crowd control, so on and so forth. You unlock new combos of different weapons. For instance, the broadsword only had 4 square attacks you could do in a row. The rapier, first thing you unlock is a 5 square attack. I'm sure there will be a ton more weapons. Obviously, I only got to try 2, like I said. Boss fights didn't feel overpowered or too easy. They weren't huge bullet sponges. It's nice that you actually get to hit them with the elemental weaknesses. A lot of games kind of lock you out of that kind of mechanic. This one doesn't. Obviously, it's harder on them, and they get immunity after, so you can't just spam them down. You do have items, potions, that restore runes for the most part, or health. The game does feature a grading system. I didn't find this out until after the first mission. I only got an A because I didn't know you lose part of your grade every time you use an item, which I didn't like, but it is kind of a Devil May Cry kind of grading system. As you fight, you'll see a combo counter in a lot of the footage as you hit people. Your biggest combo will be applied to your score, and it's got a decent multiplier. I think it's 3 or 4. Then it's damage taken. You lose 100 points, I think, for every item you used. So on the first mission, I had so many potions, I was spamming them like they were candy, and that ended up hurting my score. You do learn a heal spell, so once you have that, it's really easy to not depend on the items very much at all, and keep your score up. After I learned that, I got passed on the 2 submissions it allows you to do. Yeah, that's barely sums up the combat. You do get to hold 2 weapons at once. You'll see it on the D-pad in some of the clips. You can. It's not very fluid to change them in combat, but you can. You can't really do it mid-combo or anything like that, like you would hope. It takes a second, so good to switch those and just figure out your enemy's weakness and then kind of plan ahead in the fight, because you can't just, you know, start a 2-hit broadsword combo, then change to your rapier and finish it off with that or anything like that when you switch to another enemy. So, enemy AI seems alright. Nothing crazy. Some of the enemies are pretty good at dodging. They have a lot of the same abilities you do. You unlock kind of a perfect dodge and perfect parry, and you'll see that some of the enemies can do that too. Not very common though. Most fights range from 1 to 5 enemies. Sometimes it'll chain groups of 1 to 5 back to back. More will spawn when you finish them. Yeah, combat by far the best part of this game. Super fun, super fluid. Simple enough where you don't feel overwhelmed, but a decent skill cap to it. Combat-wise, I'd give this game a 9 out of 10. It was definitely the main draw of the game so far. Yeah, it was so good. I was sad when the demo ended because I was having so much fun beating these guys up. But we'll do exploration next and wrap up the review after that. Exploration-wise, not a ton to talk about in this game. You find chests. You do kind of need to explore because you can find, as you just saw, Ambrosia that increases your max health. You'd be kind of sad if you missed that. It is the main way that you find a lot of your new spells. They'll be in blue marked chests. The better items will be. Besides the blue chests, you'll find a lot of, you know, just these wooden chests that just have your standard potions in them. There's a lot of areas that just unlock a lot of fights, big fights, where you can get yellow souls. So exploration super encouraged in this game. The environment for the first couple levels, they're just okay. You know, there's a mine, there's a medieval town, there's a kind of a big underground shrine-ish looking thing. So the environments weren't crazy cool, but they're fun enough to look through where you don't regret exploring. Besides that, there's collectibles-wise, the only thing in the game is there's these blue flowers you find. When you interact with them, you see the thoughts of someone who lived in that area. I have not seen any kind of reward you get besides just very subpar flavor text for those. They're marked on the map, so they're not hard to find, so I guess for how difficult they are to get, the reward makes sense, but it's not really, unless they change it after the demo, there's not a ton of things compelling you to go find all those flowers. They're kind of nice if you find them organically. If you're a big completionist, I'm sure there will be achievements linked. They're marked on the map, like I said, so easy enough to do. Exploration-wise, I mean, I'd give the game like a 6. You find some cool chests with some nice stuff, but the environments, I hope, will get a little cooler as you go on, so you really want to explore, even if there weren't items involved. So far, I didn't really see that. Kind of a little bit what you'd expect from a post-Ragnarok world, just a little bit dreary, not a ton of vibrancy to it. But exploration-wise, I'd give the game, like I said, a 6. The items compel you to do it. The environments aren't good or bad. so it doesn't annoy you. You find more fights, it's good for your experience, your skills, and all that. But that pretty much wraps it up, guys. I did not have high expectations going into this game, but I think I might pick it up. I mean, the combat is really that fun. I'm hoping the other components of it fleshed out a lot more in the retail version. So, let me know in the comments if you have tried it out and agree, if you plan on picking it up. And, yeah, let me know what your experience is like with the game if you've tried it. Things you might want to see before they release it on the 25th of this month. And if you found this review helpful at all, guys, please give me a like, subscribe, hit that bell. Helps a lot. Gives me the ability to, be able to do more of this. So, yeah, I hope I helped you make a decision on this one way or the other. Definitely recommend trying out the demo still. Either way, don't just take my word for it. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised too. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.